Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the LSU Sports Insider Postgame Show here live from Alec Box Stadium. I'm Zach Ewing, and joined just this very moment by Reed Darcy, who just came over from some postgame interviews here. And LSU has defeated West Virginia 16-9 in Game 1 of the Baton Rouge Super Regional. Reed, no sweat today for the Tigers. Sweating for everybody.
Lots of sweat.
But
of sweat here.
No
yes.
Stress, maybe we should say.
No, it was a very clean offensive game. You're looking for that game where LSU's offense really plays to its potential and really erupts, and I think you got that tonight. Despite West Virginia throwing out a pretty solid pitcher, they pulled him kind of early, but it was really really three swings that really did it for LSU. Yet when you factor in the 2 grand slams and 3-run homer that Derek Curiel hit in the 4th inning, LSU did it quick, did it efficiently, and got the job done.
Yeah, it was kind of a strange game in that way. LSU finished with 16 runs on just 8 hits, but they had those 3 massive hits that accounted for 11 runs, and that'll get it done in most games. Pitching wasn't the cleanest game LSU's ever thrown, but I think we can talk about that. There might be some excuses for that, some reasons for that. One of them being the Mountaineers are a pretty good hitting team themselves. But bottom line is LSU is 1 game from Omaha. This post-game show is brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake Health. They are the official championship healthcare provider of LSU athletics, and that's what it's all about, providing championships. LSU is 1 step away from going to Omaha for its 20th College World Series.
Yep, and think about where we were, I guess, last week at this time when everyone was sounding the panic alarm, with the loss to Little Rock and then the Monday Game 7. LSU didn't leave many questions out there on the diamond today. They played about as well as they could have. I thought Kate Anderson ran into a little bit of trouble early, but did a good job working out of it. And now LSU is going to put out Anthony Ianson on a good bit of rest tomorrow and try to clinch it.
I think the key inning in this game clearly was the 4th, and a lot happened after that. That was like 3 hours ago. But in the bottom of the 4th, LSU comes to the plate trailing 1-0. They haven't had a hit yet. They've had a couple base runners against Griffin Kern, the West Virginia ace. But it was kind of a story of look, LSU's kind of struggled to hit lefties all year long. And here's this guy who's probably not the most talented pitcher the Tigers have faced all year, but he's keeping them off balance. He's walked a couple of guys. But you can tell one thing they did make Griffin Kern do is throw 51 pitches through the first 3 innings. He pitched twice last weekend, including on Sunday. So it's not really short rest for him, but clearly he could be wearing down faster in this heat. It was 93 degrees at game time. I think the real field temperature was 96, 97. It's hot out here. We're standing in the shade right now, and it's still hot. At that time, this whole field was bathed in sunshine. And we'll talk about Kate Anderson in a minute too. I was surprised that LSU let him go as deep into this game as he did. Mm-hmm. But Griffin Kern obviously was starting to run out of gas. He hits back-to-back batters. He drills Luis Hernandez in the kneecap. My knee still hurts thinking about this. So he gets on base. Then he hits Daniel Dickinson, and Griffin Kern was not happy about that because he thought that Dickinson kind of leaned into the pitch.
The replay showed that he didn't really.
Yeah, he just kind of turned from it, right?
It hit him on the elbow pretty clearly. So they reviewed it, but I think it was pretty clearly that
they review it. It's kind of a long review. Play stands is called, and I even thought we're talking like a 2-3 minute review, which doesn't sound real long, but when you're standing out in that heat, as West Virginia was, I don't know that was the best thing for West Virginia. So Derek Curiel steps in next batter. 3 pitches later, not the most majestic home run of all time. I thought it was actually going to be a double into the corner, and it just kind of stayed on a line and gets out down the left field line for a 3-run homer. All of a sudden, this game is turned on its head. LSU, that was their first hit of the game. Mm-hmm. And at that point, you're like, okay, well, they're not losing this game.
Well, think about it. The reason that Derek Curiel was in that position was because Jay Johnson made a pretty drastic change to his lineup. Curiel leads off. He's led off almost every game this season, starting with SEC play. But Jay Johnson decided to drop him down to the 7 hole and put Josh Pearson in the leadoff spot. I'm curious if anyone's going to ask Jay post-game what he thought of that decision, what went into that. I'm not sure he'll reveal anything, but the fact that he slid Curiel down to 7 there put him in a position to hit that home run with 2 on like that. So it really worked out well, and they really saw it was like a 77-mile-an-hour slider, I think, and he just got the end of the bat on it and just smacked it, really sliced it into those left field bleachers right there. And I think that changed the whole game. Through the first 3 innings, LSU didn't have a single hit. They had base runners. They put traffic on the base pass, but they didn't have a hit. that was the first one that really opened things up. It got West Virginia's pitcher out of the game, and then it really got things going. So everything snowballed from there.
Yeah. So Kern he finishes the fourth. He comes back out for the fifth and walks the leadoff batter. And was that it for him, or did he? Yeah, I think that was it for him. Was just one batter in the fifth inning, and he walks him, leaves the game at that. I'm sorry, it wasn't. It was a hit. It was Pearson hit the ball to the wall in right field and only got a single out of it.
Yes.
So it was a hit. It was a loud single, and they take Griffin Kern out after just he threw 82 pitches. So clearly you could push a guy longer than that in a big game, but West Virginia pretty clearly thought, okay, it's run its course.
He was fatigued too.
Yeah.
He threw twice
I really
in the
thought
regional.
He was. And it threw twice in the regional. Mm-hmm. It's really hot out here. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that is a factor for a pitcher who's out there throwing max effort 82 times and may not be used to quite this level.
In West Virginia, keep in mind, they had to go on the road to Clemson to play in that regional, and then they had to go on the road again to come here. They did have the rest advantage on LSU. They had an extra day of rest because they wrapped up their series on Sunday. But that's a lot for a pitcher, and it's a lot for a team to come in an environment like this and come in and try to play at your best. It's really tough. He lasted 5 innings. He started off great, but then he kind of slipped, and maybe West Virginia might have left him in too long, kind of clinging to that and see what he could give him.
Yeah. So Kern exits with a runner on, and then West Virginia. I thought this was curious. They call in a freshman, JJ Glasscock, to come in.
Redshirt freshman, I believe.
Yeah, redshirt freshman, still little used in kind of a pressure situation, and he walks back-to-back batters. He walks Ethan Fry, he walks Jared Jones, loads the bases with nobody out. So West Virginia goes back to the bullpen, this time for Cole Fairman, and he is greeted by Stephen Milam, who goes to the other foul pole for a grand slam. And just like that, it's 7-1. LSU has 3 hits, and they've blown the game wide open. And as you said, 3 big swings of the bat. They got a grand slam in the following inning, in the 6th inning, from Josh Pearson. And it's interesting, Reed, all 3 of these homers, these guys combined for 13 RBIs, came from 3 of the bigger moves Jay Johnson made with his batting order. You mentioned he pushed Derek Curiel down to the 6th hole. Josh Pearson, who didn't even start a game in the regional, leads off, and he hits the grand slam in the 6th. And then Stephen Milam batting cleanup, which is not a rare position for him, but certainly he wasn't batting there last weekend.
It is different, yeah.
Yeah, and so he hits the grand slam that really gives him some distance. So it all worked out.
I just looked it up. I wanted to make sure I had it right. Glasscock, West Virginia's first reliever who came in. He is a redshirt freshman. This whole season up until today, he threw only 6 innings. Koki said that in the press box. I was like, wait, what? 6 innings?
Why would you turn to him?
He just hasn't been part of the rotation at all. I have to see the last time he threw, but to me, that decision felt like West Virginia almost punting on the game. I don't want to say that they gave up, but really once they got behind, Kern got out of the game. They were going against Cade Anderson, LSU's top pitcher, who was really throwing well. And then the offense came in, and it felt like West Virginia was like, all right, we'll play tomorrow. We'll save our pitchers for tomorrow.
But if that's the case,
I don't know.
And maybe it's not. We haven't seen the coach's press conference or the transcript or anything yet, but it's 3-1 in the 5th inning. You have a chance to win this game, and West Virginia ended up scoring 9 runs. If you're punting game 1 of a super regional in the 5th inning, I got bad news for you. You're probably not winning the super regional. Yeah. So, maybe West Virginia puts all of its eggs in tomorrow's basket. At this point, obviously they have to, but it doesn't look good. And look, Cade Anderson, that bottom of the 5th inning that we're talking about, that included the Stephen Milam grand slam, lasted, I think, 31 minutes. So Cade Anderson comes back out for the 6th inning. He was actually pitching pretty well. He gave up the run in the 2nd, but he had kind of cruised through the 3rd, 4th, 5th. He gives up 4 runs in that 6th inning and kind of labors a little bit. Eventually gets through it. LSU still up 10-5. They had added a couple more runs in the 5th after the grand slam. So it's 10-5. And at that point, I'm thinking, okay, Cade Anderson got them what they needed. Especially when LSU then scores 6 runs in the bottom of the inning, including the Pearson grand slam. It's now 16-5. At that point, I'm thinking, you just throw, the arms that LSU did end up throwing. Rizzi, Schmidt, Primo. Get through the end of this game. You've got Ianson. You save Zach Cowan. You save Case and Evans. You're in great shape for the rest of the regional. Instead, Jay Johnson went back to Cade Anderson for the 7th, and he did get through to give up 2 more runs. I don't like that. We're picking nits a little bit.
How many pitches did he
end up throwing? 113 pitches.
That's a lot.
Yeah, he was at 93, I think, through 6 innings.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, he's not at this crazy big amount. But again, it's very hot. Too long. That the bottom of the 6th was a long inning also. Cade Anderson has a pro future. But even besides that, if LSU makes it to Omaha, they could play Friday. I mean, they could play in 6 days. They could be calling on Cade Anderson to go back out there, on less than a full week's rest. I just don't know that you needed those extra 20 pitches. We're picking nits, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, and on top of that, I mean, he kind of got off to a slow start. He got himself into some competitive at-bats. And give West Virginia credit. They did a good job battling, fouling his pitches off and really driving up his pitch count. I thought that, early on in the first 2 or 3 innings, West Virginia did a very good job of that. And then you saw, I believe it was in the 2nd inning, where he took a, hard comebacker and it hit him in the left arm, in the back of the left arm. And that was kind of scary if you're LSU, thinking like, okay, this guy's left arm is really, really valuable to us. Did it get injured at all? But I think he was fine. I think the adrenaline carried him through, and he really settled in after that, because he really started finding the zone there and really started striking guys out. I don't know exactly how many strikeouts he finished with.
7 Ks.
7 strikeouts. Yeah. All of them were after he got hit in the arm by that.
Well, yeah, which is amazing. His best pitching was after that. It was the 3rd, 4th, 5th innings, Anderson was really sharp. He's in the dugout for a long time in the bottom of the 5th. He wasn't sharp in the 6th. Then he's in the dugout a long time again in the bottom of the 6th. And that's where I'm like, man, he's at 93 pitches. Like, you've got a huge lead. Maybe just call it a day for Cade Anderson. I will say it was a nice moment when he finishes the 7th and gets the standing ovation for the last time from this Alec Box crowd, assuming he doesn't, have a relief appearance Monday or something. But I would have to think that's it for Cade Anderson.
After he got hit with the comebacker, he retired 8 straight batters, I believe. I'm sure Jay Johnson's going to have his rationale for keeping Cade in and bringing him back in the 7th. He always thinks so heavily through all these decisions.
Yeah, and like I'm sure Cade wanted to go back out there. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the player shouldn't get what the player wants. I don't know. But again, you're right. Jay thinks about it. And the upshot is they did get an extra inning. They only used 2 innings of bullpen. DJ Primo he faced 1 batter. He threw 2 pitches. Mm-hmm. William Schmidt threw 27. He may be down tomorrow. Maverick Hersey threw 21. But you've basically got everybody you need tomorrow, starting with Anthony Ianson. And that's really where we're at as we kind of look forward to Game 2 of the Super Regional. Is if LSU is going to hit like this, I don't even think they're going to be tested in this series.
No, I mean, if they hit like this, they're definitely winning this series, and they're probably winning the whole thing. But the offense, can it be consistent? We've seen even in last week in the regional, we saw the ups and downs, we saw the roller coaster. How consistent can the offense be? I don't think we'll see 2 grand slams again, but can they put the ball in play, and then can they move the base runner and just move the offense around? I think Jay Johnson said last week that the offense is built around walks and doubles, right? Mm-hmm. So get them on base and then move them, and just slowly move them like that, put the ball in play. I think that's the kind of team that LSU wants to be. Today they did it with the power hitting, but that can be effective for them too. So we'll see that tomorrow, see if it carries over, see if LSU can build that consistency. And I think on the mound, you'll see Ianson. He'll probably he'll try to go 6 or 7. And then you probably bring in Zach Cowan after him. And I'd imagine you're saving Case and Evans in case you need to play on Monday.
Yeah, and if you've got a lead late in the game, Jay Johnson will not hesitate to use Cowan and probably even use Evans if it's a shutdown situation. You can end the series right then and there. I think he'll try to do that, because if you're LSU at this point, obviously you're going to save guys for Monday if you need to, but there's no reason this thing shouldn't end tomorrow.
Yeah, I think Rab said in the press box a stat around 80% of the teams that win Game 1 go on to win the Super Regional Series. And that makes sense, because Game 1 is so important. That's kind of why I was surprised that West Virginia made the pitching decisions they made after Curran went out. So Game 1's important. LSU got it decisively, commandingly, and now they're in the driver's seat for another trip to Omaha.
So just to go through some stats as we continue here on the LSU Insider Postgame Show, it's brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake Health, the official championship healthcare provider of LSU athletics. Derek Carrillo, 3 for 3,
Monster
3 runs,
game.
5 RBIs. Not just the 3-run homer that kind of opened the floodgates for LSU, but he also had an RBI single and I believe a bases-loaded walk.
Yep.
So he had the 5 RBIs. Stephen Milam, 1 for 3, 4 RBIs. He had the grand slam. Josh Pearson, 2 for 5, 4 RBIs. Tigers drew 8 walks. This is a great point by you, Reed. That is one thing they have consistently done well all years. Work pitch counts, get on base. It was a recipe for disaster for Griffin Kern, because even when he's putting up zeros in those early innings, like we said, he's throwing a lot of pitches. And sooner or later, somebody was going to get the big hit, and it was
Yeah.
Derek Curiel.
And Curiel is such a mature, disciplined hitter, right? He's only a freshman. He's only 18 years old, I believe. But, he plays beyond his years. You could tell coming in right away, he had a 43 game on-base streak, I believe. That speaks to his maturity and his plate discipline. It's really unprecedented for an LSU freshman to have that kind of discipline at the plate and then to put up those kind of numbers. I'm writing the story today on him and just focusing on him and his tournament and overall this season and how good he's been in the tournament. So 5 games now, he's 9 of 18 with 7 RBIs. Today, the home run gave him his 50th RBI of the season, and that moves him into second place among LSU hitters, moves him past Ethan Fry, I believe. So he's every bit as good as advertised coming in. He could have gone to the pros last year ahead of the draft, but he decided to come to LSU instead. And I think LSU is very happy that he made that decision.
I think Derek is an older freshman. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure he's a draft eligible
sophomore.
So he is
at least 2 years.
He's not like the most raw college player you've ever seen, but still to do what he's doing as a second year redshirt freshman, older freshman, whatever you want to say, is like it's incredible. The lights cannot get too bright for this guy. In fact, he seems to play better when the lights get bigger. So obviously the future bright for him and for LSU. On the pitching side of things, we mentioned Cade Anderson had 7 innings, 9 hits, 7 runs, 6 were earned, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. Again, he battled. Those last 2 innings were rough. He gave up 5 of those 6 earned runs in those last 2 innings, but I don't think you have any complaints with Anderson. It's not like he was beating himself. Like West Virginia can hit the ball a little bit, and that's kind of where I want to end here. Is when you look forward to tomorrow, what could go wrong for LSU? And to me, West Virginia can hit the ball. They don't strike out a ton. Anthony Einson's not like a huge strikeout guy anyway. You're going to see some balls in play. Like I could see West Virginia putting some pressure on LSU.
Yeah, West Virginia wants to get on base and they want to extend innings. They want to play a little bit of small ball. They're not going to be the team that swings for the fences and hits home runs, but they're going to be the team that takes good, long, hard at bats and tries to get on base and then tries to base hit those runners into home. So I think worst case scenario for LSU is that the offense doesn't show up. It's a low scoring game, and West Virginia can take advantage of that and really give them just a few runs, and that's really all they need. I do expect Anthony Eisenson to hold them down, but exactly how much will he need to hold them down, I think is a question, just because, the LSU offense has a tendency to go down roller coasters, right? Go up, go down, nothing real consistent. So we'll see exactly what they can bring into tomorrow. If the hot hitting is going to carry over, I think if it does, then LSU's in great shape. If it doesn't, then they're going to need some pretty special stuff, not only from Eisenson, but also whoever's coming in relief after him.
Yeah, it is supposed to be just as hot tomorrow, if not a degree or 2 hotter. Now, the game's at 5. It's basically 24 hours from now. So there will be some more shadow in the ballpark. Don't know if the ball will carry quite as well like it was today.
It was hot, really, but the wind was blowing. The wind was blowing quite a bit left to right.
Left to right,
that's one of the reasons why Pearson's grand slam got out. So the wind, it was hot. It was stifling. It was humid as all hell. But the wind was carrying some of the balls out the park.
And so maybe it won't be quite as favorable hitting conditions. I mean, you mentioned West Virginia is not a huge home run team. They hit 2 home runs of their own tonight. They had 2-run shots from Kyle West and Gavin Kelly. One was off of Cade Anderson there in the 7th. One was off of William Schmidt in the 9th inning to kind of, make this not quite as laughable. It was 16-5. It was 10-1 at one point. It was 16-5 at one point. And then West Virginia gets those 2 homers to kind of make it respectable and maybe get themselves a little momentum going into tomorrow.
Sure. Yeah, but they'll have to face Anthony Eisenson, who's, one of the best starters in the country. So I think a lot of it will come down to how far he can go and how good he is in his innings.
All right, keep it locked to the LSU Tigers at NOLA.com YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, subscribe, and tell your friends. We'll have a post-game show for you after Game 2 tomorrow. Win or lose for LSU. They're 1 win from Omaha, so we'll either be helping y'all celebrate that, or we'll be talking about a Game 3 on Sunday, and it'll be nail-biting time again. On Monday, yes.
Today is Saturday. Yeah. Not easy to get your days mixed
It's the baseball postseason. It all runs together.
It does.
Yeah, Sunday, 5 p.m., 5:06 p.m. is first pitch tomorrow afternoon. And then Game 3 would be Monday. LSU hopes it doesn't come to that. They hope at that point they're making travel plans for Omaha, which, by the way, congrats to Coastal Carolina, first team the Chanticleers have clinched their ticket to Omaha.
Okay, cool.
It's sweep Auburn. So there's only going to be a max of 2 SEC teams in the College World Series. It'll be LSU, if they can make it,
Arkansas
and then the
Tennessee.
Arkansas-Tennessee winner. They're playing game 1 right now. And actually, those two teams would play each other
first
in
game
the first
Omaha.
game, either next Friday or Saturday. It would be the Arkansas-Tennessee winner against the LSU-West Virginia winner. And LSU off to a good start in this series, a 16-9 winner in game 1 of the Super Regional. Our producer was Spencer Urquhart. He's Reed Darcy. I'm Zach Ewing. Our Lady of the Lake is our sponsor, and we'll be back on these feeds with a post-game show tomorrow night. See you then.